one of the most useful exercises that you can do if you are facing a healing challenge is called an emotional checkup. So an emotional checkup amounts to basically taking a very close look at what makes you happy, what is helpful, produces energy for you in your life, and then also looking at those things that pull you down, and the stresses, the worries that you have, etc. So historically, we used to think that the mind, what was going on in the mind, was not affecting the body. But we now know that that's complete nonsense. It was a strange idea that those two aspects of an individual were not interacting. We now know that's completely wrong, and we understand that positive mental, spiritual, and emotional efforts can very much influence the health and the healing of the body. And even our ability to heal can be influenced so much by that. Our spiritual philosophy of science of mind teaches this and has its roots in these ideas. Here's one of the things that Ernest Holmes said: life is a mirror and will reflect back to the thinker what he thinks into it. Basically, that's exactly what we're talking about here. Are we thinking into ourselves positive things, things we enjoy, things we love, or are we focusing a lot on what's wrong, what's not working, what the future most terrible outcome could be? So that's part of an emotional checkup. Science has explained this to us now. We have emotion-driven neuropeptides that are present in every cell. In other words, they pick up the emotion, no matter where that cell is. They pick up the emotion that's going on with us. So stress, fear, a limiting belief such as this is never going to get better, can negatively affect every cell in our body. On the other hand, positive beliefs or strong intention to get better also can be picked up by the body, and it supports its efforts to heal. So if you're struggling with a health challenge, we recommend doing this emotional checkup. This can help you discover if physical problems are being encouraged by what's going on in your mind, or whether what you're thinking about is actually helping your body to be in its healing mode. So the way that I would suggest you do this is to take a piece of paper, divide it down the middle, and put on this side things that bring me joy. And then on the other side, things that pull me down, things that cause me stress. Events or words or thoughts that drag me down. And just start writing. Don't plan it, just do it. Just do it, whatever comes into your mind on both sides. And then look at that page and think, all right, I really want to heal. That's my deepest intention. I want to heal this. How can I spend more of my time on this side of my sheet and diminish what I'm doing over here on this side to give my body the best possible chance for healing? But before we go into it, I want to share a story. So this is a story that comes from Jeffrey Rediger's book, excellent book, the title of which is Cured. He is not only a medical doctor, but a psychiatrist, and he describes one person's journey through stress and emotion. So Claire was a 63-year-old woman who was retiring and planning her retirement with her husband very happily. But she did have this pain in her stomach area. And so she went in for a scan. And when this scan was released and showed to her, it revealed that she had pancreatic adenocarcinoma. This is the most virulent kind of pancreatic cancer that you can have. It came as a total shock to her. She did a lot of research, she asked a lot of questions, but found out that the prognosis was might live a year, maybe stretch to 5, but that was unusual. So one intervention called the Whipple sometimes extended that time. It didn't really cure anything, but it just extended the lifetime perhaps by a year or 2. But it was a very difficult procedure, very long, and also created a lot of other problems. Claire decided, since she was going to die anyway, she was going to make the most of the time she had left. So she decided that she would not do the surgery and started focusing on everything she wanted to do before she died. She said this, "I decided to live with as much zest and happiness as I could for however long I had." What a powerful intention. Of course, the truth is we're all going to die. And what if we decided at any point in our life to live with as much zest and happiness so that we don't drag anything negative into the time when we do eventually pass? A powerful intention. So the first thing she decided to do was to absolutely face her fear of death. And she spent a lot of times going through that, talking with people, and accepting the fact that in fact it was going to end. And so she downgraded that fear of death, since it was facing her so immediately. That in turn helped her decide what was next. So the first thing she worked on was deepening her relationships. That was with family, it was with friends, spending a lot of time talking about things that were fun, but also talking about life and about death and what was life like and how did they want to live together. She surrounded herself with supportive family and friends. Then she took on another task, and that was to forgive people. She went through that list and decided, I am not going to die dragging some resentment against somebody to my death. That's ridiculous. And so she went through the whole forgiveness process with anyone that she had on her list. Then she also spent a lot of time planning things that brought her joy. She planned a friends gathering for a couple of days. They got a cabin, and all these girlfriends of hers, they joined with her, and they cooked, and they ate, and they told stories, and they reminisced, and they played games, they took walks, and created this incredibly wonderful, uplifting experience for herself. But of course, it affected everybody else who came as well. They had a wonderful time. She was so glad she did that. She did an emotional checkup of her life. That's exactly what she did. And those are some of the choices that she made. Claire used a version of a breathing exercise whenever she realized that she was starting to get stressful about something or starting to worry about something. And I thought we would do a breathing exercise right now, just something that you can then put in your pocket and use sometime. And that is called vagal breath, vagal breathing. And the reason that it got that name is because it's attached to the vagus nerve. And the vagus nerve is a really interesting character. I suggest you look it up on your Google and get a picture and look at the picture of it. So it starts in the brainstem, and then it wanders down. That's where the name came from. Vagal came from the word vagrant. So it wanders down and manages to get into every single organ in the body, both on the front side and the back side. It ends up touching everything. And what they found out is that when we take a certain very conscious breath, which we'll do in just a minute, it activates that vagal nerve. And then it sends relaxation down to all of those organs. So in other words, it moves the body in a very broad sense out of fight or flight, which is not where healing happens, into rest and repair, which is where healing happens, no matter what your issue is. So let's practice. So we're going to take a nice long breath in through our nose and start, you can think, if it's not too much, think about coming from your belly and breathing in through your nose, a nice long breath. Then we're going to hold it for 4 counts, and then we're going to exhale. So let's just practice one time. So breathing in, hold, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out. Now let's do another. Try to think of it coming from your belly. 1, 2, 3, 4, and breathe out through your nose. Now we're going to do this for about 3 minutes. The recommendation is that you do this for 5 minutes. It's actually something that I've adopted in my own meditation routine in the morning. After I do my meditation, then I set my little, you set your timer on your watch or on your phone for 5 minutes, and then I just sit there and I do vagal breathing until the little alarm noise goes off. But we'll do it for about 3 minutes right now. Okay? So let's breathe in through our nose. Hold, and breathe out through your nose. Nice and deep. I am healthy and well in every way, and so it is.